Hey guys, it's Tahira, and today I'm doing kind of a different video. So I'm not really doing a list or like my favorite books or a tag or anything. I'm actually doing a video on how I kind of got into reading. I've seen these a little bit around booktube, but I haven't seen them a lot. But I really wanted to put like how I got into reading and my reading journey. So let's just go ahead and get started. So let's start the story off with when I was very young, my mom and my parents, they started reading books to me, and I used to read a lot of nonfiction when I was younger. I used to go to the library a lot, like every week, every weekend I would go and I would start getting books. My first books I actually got were nonfiction. My parents got these encyclopedias and we would read every night these encyclopedias which like said how things worked, what things were like, and basically about the world and earth and space and everything like that. I really enjoyed those type of books and I read those encyclopedias for the longest time. And then I slowly started getting books on like more individual nonfiction books about different things, about like cultures, religions, life, technology, media, just basically how things worked and stuff like that, and I really enjoyed those. After a while I started getting into a lot of fiction. I used to read the Nancy Drew and the Clue Crew series. I was a huge fan of Nancy Drew when I was younger. So Nancy Drew for me I used to read it like all the time. I used to read the first Nancy Drew and the Clue Crew series, which is kind of the series that are for little kids. I read those and I really liked it. I read them over and over and over again. And then I graduated to the actual like original Nancy Drew books, and I read like all 64 books like multiple times, and I loved those. And I was really into mystery, so I read Nancy Drew, the Hardy Boys, I read Kim Jansen, and it's not mystery, but I was into Junie B. Jones because she was hilarious. But basically I read Kim Jansen and all these books that had something to do with mystery, and I was fascinated by that, and that was all I read. Then I read kind of that first, second, third grade. Then in fourth grade I read Harry Potter for the first time. I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't as impressed with Harry Potter and didn't love it as much as everyone does on booktube. Like, people say that Harry Potter was the cornerstone of the childhood and that they wouldn't be here today if it weren't for Harry Potter. Well, honestly, that's not the case for me. I really love Harry Potter. Harry Potter is such a magical story, and I love it more now than I did like in fourth grade when I first read it when I was 11. And I kind of didn't get the hype. Like, there were so many people that loved Harry Potter, and I guess they are huge books, and so there were huge books and it kind of dragged out sometimes. I wasn't as into it as everyone else was, but I still really enjoyed Harry Potter, and it was the first big series that I read, and it was huge. So it was a big accomplishment for me for that age. And I read Harry Potter and I kind of thought of it, and then I got to Percy Jackson. Now Percy Jackson was such a big part of my life because Percy Jackson was the first series that I really got obsessed with. With Percy Jackson, I read Percy Jackson and I loved it. I read all the Heroes of Olympus, Percy Jackson and the Olympians, and the his Egyptian mythology series. And I loved all of them so much. And it was the first one I became obsessed with because I actually created a fan account on Instagram for it. I created a fan account and it slowly developed not just Percy Jackson, but all of the series I liked, like at the moment Fault in Our Stars, Hunger Games, Divergent, Maze Runner, stuff like that. And I started posting stuff about like little edits of scenes and from the movie, from the book, quotes and stuff I liked, pictures I liked of the actors and actresses, of like if there were movies for the books. And basically I became obsessed with it, and that was such a fun part of my life. And also my best friend also did it with me. She was also obsessed with Harry Potter, and we both created fan accounts, and it was such a fun part of my life, and I always remember it as it was kind of a big thing for me back then, because it was the first time where my best friend and I could gush about series and books with other people, and that was really important to me. But then from Percy Jackson I read more like middle grade, and then I kind of graduated onto young adult, and then I saw Throne of Glass. Now Throne of Glass was the first series that I bought. One of my really good friends from school actually recommended Throne of Glass to me, and she said it was really good, so I read it and I really loved it so much. And then Throne of Glass was really what kind of got me into booktube in the first place. So really, I remember the first time was that in my recommended section there was a book related video. It was actually one of Booktopia's book hauls, and I clicked on it and I was completely blown away. I was like, wow, these are so many books. And I clicked on her channel, I saw all these book videos, I was like, wow. And I thought this was heaven because I never saw something like that ever. And so this was the first time, so I was just like completely blown away. And then I saw other channels and I created one of my own, and it was such a big part of my life when I first created it, because it was a moment where I could talk about books with other people like you guys. I did Throne of Glass, like I searched up reviews, and it kind of brought me into this other part of booktube where there were reviews, and I saw more book people. And one of the first ones I subscribed to were Sasha from a Book Utopia, Emma from Emma Books, and Pruse from Pruse Project. It was just such a big part. And now here I'm obsessed with booktube. I'm now doing booktube, and I'm trying to grow as a person from booktube and talk to other people about books. But this video probably turned into a gush about booktube. But that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Bye!